Everyone, today we're going to read chapter 15, Further Up and Further In, of The Last Battle, part of the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. Here we go. Know, O warlike kings, said Emeth, and you, O ladies whose beauty illuminates the universe, that I am Emeth, the seventh son of Harfa Tarkin, of the city of Telishpan, westward beyond the desert. I came lately into Narnia with 29 others under the command of Rishta Tarkin. Now, when I first heard that we would march upon Narnia, I rejoiced, for I had heard many things of your land and desired greatly to meet you in battle. But when I found that we were to go in disguised as merchants, which is a shameful dress for a warrior and the son of a Tarkin, and to work by lies and trickery, then my joy departed from me. And most of all, when I found out that we must wait upon a monkey, and when it began to be said that Tash and Aslan were one, then the world became dark in my eyes, for always since I was a boy I have served Tash, and my great desire was to know more of him, and, if it might be, to look upon his face, but the name of Aslan was hateful to me. And, as you have seen, we were called together outside of the straw-roofed hovel the night after night, and the fire was kindled, and the ape was brought forth out of the hovel with something on 4 legs that I could not well see. And the people and the beasts bowed down and did honor to it, but I thought the Tarkin was deceived by the ape, for this thing that comes out of the stable was neither Tash nor any other god. But when I watched the Tarkin's face and marked every word that he said to the monkey, then I changed my mind, for I saw that the Tarkin did not believe it himself. And then I understood that he did not believe in Tash at all, for if he had, how could he dare to mock him? When I understood this, a great rage fell upon me, and I wondered why the true Tash did not strike down both the monkey and the Tarkin with the fire from heaven. Nevertheless, I hid my anger and held my tongue and waited to see how it would end. But last night, as some of you know, the monkey brought it not forth the yellow thing, but said that all who desired to look upon Tashland, for so they had mixed the 2 words to pretend that they were all one, must pass into the hovel. And I said to myself, doubtless this is some other deception, but when the cat had gone in and come out again in a madness of terror, then I said to myself, surely the true Tash, whom they have called on without knowledge or belief, has now come among us, and will avenge himself. And though my heart was turned to water inside me because of the greatness and terror of Tash, yet my desire was stronger than my fear, and I put force upon my knees to stay them from trembling, and on my teeth that they should not chatter, and resolved to look upon the face of Tash, though he should slay me. So I offered myself to go into the hovel, and the Tarkin, though unwillingly, let me go. As soon as I had gone into the door, the first wonder that I found myself was this great sunlight, as we are all in now, though the inside of the hovel had looked dark from the outside. But I had not time to marvel at this, for immediately I was forced to fight for my head against one of my own men. As soon as I saw him, I understood that the monkey and the Tarkin had set him there to slay anyone who came in it, if he were not in on their secrets, so that this man was also a liar and a mocker, and no true servant of Tash. I had better will to fight him. Having slain the villain, I cast him out behind me through the door. Then I looked out about me, and saw the sky and the wide lands, and smelled the sweetness, and I said, by the gods, this is a pleasant place. It may be that I am come into the country of Tash, and I began to journey into the strange new country to seek him. So I went over much grass and many flowers, and among all kinds of wholesome and delectable trees, until, lo, in a narrow place between 2 rocks there came to meet me a great lion. The speed of him was like an ostrich, and his size like an elephant. His hair was like pure gold, and the brightness of his eyes like gold that is liquid in the furnace. He was more terrible than a flaming mountain of Lagor, and in his beauty he surpassed all that is in the world, even as the rose in bloom surpasses the dust of the desert. Then I fell at his feet and thought, surely this is the hour of death, for the lion, who is worthy of all honor, will know that I have served Tash all of my days, and not him. Nevertheless, it is better to see the lion and die than to be the Tisroc of the whole world and live and not see him. But the glorious one bent his golden head and touched my forehead with his tongue, and said, Son, thou art welcome. But I said, Alas, Lord, I am no son of thine, but a servant of Tash. He answered, Child, all the service you have done to Tash I account as service to me. Then, by reason of my great desire for wisdom and understanding, I overcame my fear and questioned the glorious one, and said, Lord, is it true, as the ape has said, that thou and Tash art one? The lion growled so that the earth shook, but his wrath was not against me, and said, It is false, not because he and I are one, but because we are opposites. I take to me the services which thou hast done to him. For I and he are of such different kinds that no service which is vile can be done to me, and none which is not vile can be done to him. Therefore, if any man swear by Tash and keep his oath for the oath's sake, it is by me that he is truly sworn, though he does not know it, and it is I who reward him. And if any man do a cruelty in my name, though he says the name of Aslan, it is Tash whom he serves, and by Tash his deed is accepted. Dost thou understand, child? I said, Lord, thou knowest how much I understand. But I said also, for the truth constrained me, yet I have been seeking Tash all of my days. Beloved, said the glorious one, unless thy desire had been for me, thou wouldst not have sought so long and so truly. For all find what they truly seek. Then he breathed upon me, and took away the trembling from my limbs, and caused me to stand upon my feet. After that he said not much, but that we should meet again, and that I must go further up and further in. Then turned about him in a storm and flurry of gold, and was suddenly gone. And since then, O kings and ladies, I have been wandering to find him, and my happiness is so great that it even weakens me like a wound. And this is the marvel of marvels, that he called me beloved, me, who am but as a dog. Eh? What's that? Said one of the dogs. Sir, said Emmet, it is but a fashion of speech which we have in Colorman. Well, I can't say it's one I like very much, said the dog. He doesn't mean any harm, said an older dog. After all, we call our puppies boys when they don't behave properly. So we do, said the first dog, or girls. Shh, said the older dog. It's not a nice word to use. Remember where you are. Look, said Jill suddenly, someone's coming. Rather timidly to meet them, a graceful creature on all 4 feet, all silvery gray, and they stared at him for a whole 10 seconds before 5 or 6 voices all at once said, Oh, it's old Puzzle! And they had never seen him by daylight with the lion skin off, and it made an extraordinary difference. He was himself now, a beautiful donkey with such a soft gray coat and such a gentle, honest face that if you had seen him you would have done just as Jill and Lucy did, and rushed forward and put your arms around his neck and kissed his nose and stroked his ears. When they had asked him where he had been, he said that he had come in at the door along with all the other creatures, but he had, well, to tell the truth, he had been keeping out of their way as much as he could, and out of Aslan's way, for the sight of the real lion made him so ashamed of all the nonsense about dressing up in a lion skin that he did not know how to look anyone in the face. But when he saw that all of his friends were going away westward, and after he had had a mouthful or so of grass, and I've never tasted such good grass in my life, said Puzzle, he plucked up his courage and followed. But what'll I do if I really have to meet Aslan? I'm sure I don't know, he added. You'll find it'll be all right when you really do, said Queen Lucy. And then they went forward together, always westward, for that seemed to be the direction that Aslan had meant when he cried out further up and further in. Many other creatures were slowly moving the same way, but that grassy country was very wide and there was no crowding. It still seemed early, and the morning freshness was in the air. They had kept on stopping to look around and behind them, partly because it was so beautiful, but partly because there was also something about it which they could not understand. Peter, said Lucy, where is this, do you suppose? I don't know, said the High King. It reminds me of somewhere, but I can't give it a name. Could it be somewhere we once stayed for a holiday when we were very, very small? It would have been a jolly good holiday, said Eustace. I bet there isn't a country like this anywhere in our world. Look at the colors. You couldn't get blue like the blue on those mountains in our world. Well, it's not Aslan's country? Asked Tyrion. Not like Aslan's country on top of that mountain beyond the eastern end of the world, said Jill. I've been there. If you ask me, said Edmund, it's like somewhere in the Narnian world. Look at those mountains ahead, and the big ice mountains beyond them. Surely they're rather like the mountains we used to see from Narnia, the ones up beyond the western waterfall? Yes, so they are, said Peter, only these ones are bigger. I don't think those ones are so very like anything in Narnia, said Lucy, but look there. She pointed southward to their left, and everyone stopped and turned to look. Those hills, said Lucy, the nice woody ones and the blue ones beyond, aren't they very like the southern border of Narnia? Like, said Edmund, after a moment's silence. Why, they're exactly alike. Look, there's Mount Pyre with its forked head, and there's the pass into Archenland and everything. And yet they're not alike, said Lucy. They're different. They have more colors to them, and they look farther away than I remember, and they're more, I don't know, more like the real thing, said Diggory softly. Suddenly Farsight the eagle spread his wings and soared 30 or 40 feet into the air, circled round, and then alighted on the ground. Kings and queens, he cried, we've all been blind. We're only beginning to see where we are. From up here I've seen it all. Edensmore, Beaver's Dam, the great river, Cair Paravel still shining on the edge of the eastern sea. Narnia's not dead. This is Narnia. But how can it be, said Peter, for Aslan told us older ones, that we would never return to Narnia, and here we are." "Yes," said Eustace, "and we saw it all destroyed and the sun put out." "And it's all so different," said Lucy. "The eagle is right," said Lord Diggory. "Listen, Peter, when Aslan said you could never go back to Narnia, he meant the Narnia that you were thinking of, but that was not the real Narnia. That had a beginning and an end. It was only a shadow or a copy of the real Narnia, which has always been here and always will be here, just as our own world, England and all, is only a shadow or a copy of something in Aslan's real world. You need not mourn over Narnia, Lucy. All the old Narnia that mattered, all the dear creatures, have been drawn into the real Narnia through the door. And of course it's different as the real thing is from a shadow, or waking is from a dream." His voice stirred everyone like a trumpet as he spoke these words, but when he added under his breath, "It's all in Plato, all in Plato. Bless me, what do they teach them in these schools?" the older ones laughed. It was so exactly like the sort of thing they had heard him say long ago in that other world where his beard was gray instead of golden. He knew why they were laughing, and joined in the laugh himself, but very quickly they all became grave again, for, as you know, there is a kind of happiness and wonder which makes you serious, and it's too good to waste on jokes. It's hard to explain how in this sunlit land was different from the old Narnia, as it would be to tell you how the fruits of the country taste. Perhaps you'll get some idea of it when you think like this. You may have been in a room in which there was a window that looked out onto a lovely bay or of the sea or a green valley and wound up among mountains. And in the wall of that room opposite to the window there may have been a looking-glass. As you turned away from the window, you suddenly caught sight of the sea or the valley all over again in the looking-glass. And the sea in the mirror, or the valley in the mirror, were in one sense just the same as the real ones, yet at the same time they were somehow different, deeper, more wonderful, like the places in a story you've never heard but very much want to know. The difference between the old Narnia and the new Narnia was like that. The new one was a deeper country. Every rock, flower, and blade of grass looked as if it meant more. I can't describe it any better than that. If ever you get there, you'll know what I mean. It was the unicorn who summed it up, what everyone was feeling. He stamped his right forehoof on the ground and neighed, then cried, "I have come home at last! This is my real country. I belong here. This is the land I've been looking for all my life, though I never knew it until now. The reason why we loved the old Narnia so much is because it sometimes looked a little bit like this. Come up, further up, and further in." He shook his mane and sprang forward at a great gallop, a unicorn's gallop, which in our world would have carried him out of sight in a few moments. But now a most strange thing happened. Everyone else began to run, and they found, to their astonishment, that they could keep up with him. Not only the dogs and the humans, but even fat little Puzzle and short-legged Poggin the dwarf. The air flew in their faces as if they were driving fast in a car without a windscreen. The country flew past as if they were seeing it from the windows of an express train. Faster and faster they raced, but no one got hot or tired or out of breath. Next time we'll cover the final chapter of the final book in the Chronicles of Narnia, chapter 16 of The Last Battle, Farewell to the Shadowlands.